call the meeting of Wednesday, July 29th, 2026 Millwood Planning Commission meeting to order. First order of business is roll call. Commissioner Molitor.
Here.
Commissioner Rickard.
Here.
Commissioner Beasy. Commissioner Karina. Commissioner Ain't here. 3 of the 5 are present. We do have a quorum. First order of business is approval of the meeting agenda. I think it looks good. I don't have any adders. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the agenda. And I will second that.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next up is, we actually have 2 sets of minutes to approve, so we'll do them individually. First up is the Wednesday, May 27th meeting minutes. I looked them over, they look like they were pretty thorough to me. Does anybody have any comments on the May 27th meeting minutes? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve as presented.
I move to approve those minutes. And I will second that.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Next up would be the meeting minutes from our June 24th, 2026 meeting. Once again, I looked those over. I think were pretty thorough and they looked good to me. Does anybody have any comments? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve the June 24th meeting minutes.
I do have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
On page 7, commissioner comments, and this is just housekeeping if you want to call it that. Chairman Ankeny stated he sits on the advisory board for SRTC. He highlighted, so should that be a period or a comma?
Yes.
Or something? I mean, just, it's a minor issue, but.
Do you see what he's talking about, Bridget?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we can add.
So, I would go period and capitalize H.
Capital H, yeah.
Good catch, Jay. Bobby and Karina are running off on, or rubbing off
Yeah,
on you.
they
Proud.
Must be that proximity.
It's coming this
they'll
way.
be they'll be jealous that
So with that edit, I will entertain a motion to approve as edited.
I will make that motion. Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, so that takes us to agenda item number 4, our action items, and I will turn it over to Amanda.
Okay, so packet page 30.
I'm zipping right along.
We're going
And I'll
all
go
the way from packet page 8 to packet page 30.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I have a question on page 12.
Oh.
Okay,
Sorry,
is that okay to just do it that way?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
we're talking about bees and animals. Do we have anything, Amanda, regarding cages for fowl or rabbits so they don't escape the yard? Is that something that we need in there so that when we address that it's okay to do these, but do we need something in there to make sure that they're secured?
Well, they're required to be maintained on their lot. So I would say if there's an escaping issue, then it becomes code enforcement.
Okay.
As far as specific wording, I actually haven't seen wording like that.
Okay.
So I guess in short, the answer is no, we do not address cages in there, but they
Okay.
are required to be maintained on their lot.
Just secured on their lot then, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the only thing I had, so I'm ready to fast forward to page 32.
Okay, so page 30. So this would be from the public workshop on June 24th. The first item, I reworded the suite and unit examples. So we got that reworded the way I believe Bobby had asked for that. We also added the language on the minimum lot depth, and I covered this at our joint meeting basically so there wouldn't be confusion. You may have to increase the lot width or lot depth. Next one, page 31. I don't remember if this was caught or if I caught it, but I added an L. There was a missing L on commercial.
Okay,
Oh, okay, I see
Yep.
that.
I think that's the one I caught. And then, there was the question about, the provision of conversion of existing commercial buildings to residential and how that would affect the mixed use requirements. So I went through and did research, and in short, it won't. All of ours fit within the allowances. The only thing that might slightly be affected is some of the design on the front. Millwood bid, this is on page 32. Millwood would be limited on utilization of 1724-010 development and design standards in the C2 zone based on the RCW. However, it would not affect the mixed use requirements. The city, and this is quote, the city may not impose exterior design or architectural requirements on the residential use of an existing building beyond those necessary for health and safety of the use of the interior of the building or to preserve character defining streetscapes unless the building is in a designated landmark or is within a historic district established through a local preservation ordinance. So essentially, if you're in the C2 portion in the historic district, no problem. If you're in this portion here, we may not be able to be quite as strict on the design standards on that. And then the other part would be, it's, the RCW states the city may not prohibit the addition of housing units in any specific part of a building except ground floor commercial or retail that is along a major pedestrian corridor as defined by city code. And I further go through, and based on our policies and other statements, I would say that Argonne would be considered a major pedestrian corridor, especially since we're beefing up all the sidewalks along here. So I don't believe that would apply, so it only comes back to that design standard provision.
Do you have a definition of Argonne as a pedestrian?
It
Do you
is-
have any pedestrian corridors defined?
Yeah, so it says, Millwood should still be able to utilize, MMC 1726-010B, which states, for buildings that front Argonne, Euclid, or Trent, non-residential uses must front the public right-of-way. However, residential uses are permitted on upper floors and on the ground floor, provided it represents less than 50% of the ground floor area for the majority of the C1, C2 zones. For the majority of the C1, C2 zones, since the city comp plan is incorporated into the MMC, and the comp plan includes provisions for pedestrians and public transit, including policy 6 that I represented below, and the city trail sidewalk system, in addition to Millwood Municipal Code 1724-010, development and design standards in the C2 zone, which focus on pedestrian scale and including buildings on Euclid and the majority of Argonne. So it is pulled in via the trail and sidewalk system as well as the policies. So,
I have just a quick question, and I didn't notice it until you just read it off. That up, the third sentence of that paragraph, major pedestrian corridor is defined by the code city. Should that be flip-flopped by the city code?
no, it's actually, we're a code city, Millwood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's like class A, class B, we're code.
Right.
Thank you very much.
All right, next item.
you know, Bobby gave you a little bit of leverage, that doesn't mean you.
Okay, I'm getting carried away. Sorry, Bobby.
And then the next one, I think I caught this when I was going through, we accidentally still had double letters, so I corrected it to 1, 2, and 3. Then, this is the new information. So we are currently in the 60-day review, but the SEPA review has concluded. So, on 7/13, which the SEPA review concluded on the 12th, I added in the comments that we had received, on that, and the first one was from the Washington State Department of Natural Resources, WGS, review. And they just asked me to add to, or modify slightly, the definition of qualified erosion or landslide specialist. So basically, we would add to that definition, and that are a qualified geologist as defined herein. So that was a pretty easy addition, I figured. Does anybody have any issues to that?
What
Nope.
does that mean as defined herein?
So underneath that, there's a definition of qualified geologist, which talks about the licensing
It's
requirements.
not showing.
It's just not showing, yeah. Then the next one that was requested is, they wanted a little bit more detail. I don't know if they saw 1808-030A2 already requires compliance with other sections in the Millwood Municipal Code. However, it was recommended to add more detail. So in 1808-030B, I added subsection 6 that I wrote out there. Conditions and mitigation requirements may include but are not limited to temporary or permanent fencing and or signage, recording to title that there are known critical areas on the property and identifying the type of critical areas, provisions for bonding or other monetary means of ensuring compliance with mitigation requirements, etc. Does anybody have any issue with that addition?
It's a mouthful, but no.
And then the third thing they had asked for was a little more detail on the preliminary report requirements. So I added under 1808-060C2 at the bottom there, reports shall contain information necessary to ensure development will not exacerbate landslide risks or threaten public safety, including but not limited to A, B, C, D. A description of the topography, surface and subsurface hydrology, soils, geology, and vegetation of the site. B, an evaluation of the analysis area's inherent landslide and erosion hazards. C, a site plan of the area delineating all portions of the site subject to erosion, landslide, and seismic hazards. D, a contour map of the proposed site at a scale of 1 inch equals 20 feet or is deemed appropriate by the director. Slopes shall be clearly identified and differentiated for the ranges between 15 and 29 and 30% or greater. We already had some of that language if they were to go in and do a subdivision, but just developing on an individual lot, I could see where they saw the gap in that, so I pulled it over and added it into there. And that is it. That's all the proposed changes that came out of that. But we did have our next topic is the residential setbacks. So I did not make any changes. I wanted to have a discussion on the next one.
So this is the one thing that Kelly was pretty,
And we had a comment from a resident that's the exact opposite.
okay. So, refresh our memory.
Okay, so, at our joint meeting, Councilmember Stravens had asked about increasing side setbacks from 5 foot to 7.5 foot. My assumption when he says that is for single story, because we already have, it goes 5 foot single story, 10 foot story and a half, and I believe 15 foot for 2 story. So we're already increasing as the scale gets larger. So I researched the tier 3 ordinance, and 5 foot is the recommended setback, but it is not in bold. And what that means is that the city could go against the recommendation on it. I have concerns with doing that, however. Predominantly, we would be how would I word this? It's already 5 foot in the code. The setbacks we didn't change. All we did was add heights to reflect the stories. So we would be going backwards in a sense by increasing them. The second concern I have is, and I'll use UR2 as an example. UR2 is now proposed to have 40-foot wide lots. If you do 5 foot setbacks on a 40-foot wide lot, you can have a 30-foot wide home. I went through and looked at, and this would be where we need to pull up the pictures. Went through and looked at the UR2 zone and started measuring homes. The vast majority, if not almost all of them, are 30 foot or larger in width. There are some in the UR1 zone that are a little narrower. So this is a pretty typical 30-foot wide home, and these are approximate, I measured them on Scout. 30-foot wide home in the UR2 zone. That is compliant with the scale and the character and the form that Millwood was trying to achieve with the design standards. And then it's got the approximately 10-foot wide driveway off the side to a rear detached garage. Okay, next. Now we're starting to narrow them up a little. If we were to increase the setbacks on the side from 5 foot to 7.5 foot for single story, what that does is now 7.5 and 7.5 on a 40-foot wide lot scrunches you down to a 25-foot wide home. The concern is Millwood is not allowing townhomes in UR1 or UR2. Townhomes are typically the ones that are gonna be about 20 to 24 feet wide. So let's see, okay, I covered that. So this one here would be a 28-foot wide home. This would not fit on a 40-foot wide lot. So that's one example. And this one I believe was in UR2. Next one, this is actually over in UR1. This is also, I believe, about a 28-foot wide home. And when you get narrower, you're starting to see the doors come to the side. So it's having a different character on the front of the house. Okay, go ahead and go down. Sorry, it's tiny. This is also in UR1, I believe. I can't remember. But that one's about 26 foot wide. It does have the door to the front, but as you can see, they barely made a driveway back there, and then they have to angle back over to the garage. So that's a 26
So
roughly.
that one would still be, if we increase it to
Too
7.5.
wide.
Too wide,
Yeah,
okay.
in a 40-foot wide lot, yes.
Right.
And then finally, this one is approximately about a 25-foot wide home. Now, it's on a huge lot that happens to be a corner. That's the other part, is on a corner lot, it's already required to have a 15-foot flanking. So that's gonna narrow it down even more on what you can do on those. So I definitely have concerns about increasing from a 5 to a 7.5 that I wanted to bring forward to you guys and show you everything in scale and form.
That makes a real statement to me, increasing from 5 to 7.5.
Yeah. I
That's,
mean, at first I was kind of going, well, really, what's the big deal? But explain it how you just explained that. That is a big deal.
I agree, Mike. Yeah.
And also knowing that, I don't know where it's at in the code, because I don't think we ever talked about it. But I know that when I paved my driveway, I had to stay like 2 feet off the fence.
I don't believe it's there now. It was probably a policy at the time,
Okay.
but you cannot have runoff onto your neighbor's property.
Correct.
And so if you did go to the property line with a 10-foot wide driveway, on a 40-foot wide lot, you'd have a 30-foot wide house with 5 and 5, and then a 10-foot wide driveway, and there's no problem. When you narrow it down to 25, you might end up having to do the angle over to get to the rear
Right.
detached. And attaching a garage would not happen at all on a 25.
Well, what was the nature of the other comment?
The other comment is, I believe it's the next page of your packet here. Yes. Okay, so page 34 of your packet. That showed the 5.5 and then the 7.5. The next one was page 35, and the resident called out, since we are allowing, or in this case we are actually required, to allow ADUs to sit on the edge of an alley if it's not something that's regularly plowed. The resident asked, well, what about a standard house? If you're allowing it for an ADU, can you allow it for a home? So it affects the UR2 zone, and it would be, do you remember the example I did where the rear of the lot was separated off and they put in a cottage there essentially, and they had the alleyway there? And if you remember, it was sitting right in the middle because we had to do 5 and 5. In that case, you could shift it and you could put it right up against the edge of the property line on the alley side, which would give you more room on this side. The benefit of that is you could have easier access off the street compared to having to use the alley, which we talked about we wanted to discourage whenever possible. So they're two completely separate spectrums.
Yeah.
And so I guess I'm looking for guidance on what, if anything, you want me to incorporate or change.
Well,
Based on your I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, based on your presentation and the impact going from 5 to 7.5, I think we should maintain the 5 foot. It gives us more leeway on the size of the homes that we could have on those lots.
For all zones, UR
Yes.
one, UR two, and UR three? Okay.
I would agree.
Okay.
What if this doesn't apply to a larger development, but what if you said you could have 7.5 foot setback, but you could have less than that, providing that total between your setback and the one next door still is 15 feet.
I analyzed that. Fantastic idea, and it was used a lot in communities like Liberty Lake. You had like 6 foot between buildings, because they were put in as a PUD, a master plan PUD. We literally have 2 larger lots, and they're not even large, 2 acres total in Millwood. So that would be the only place that it would really be beneficial. Otherwise, you're infringing on your neighbor's rights to do what they please on their lot. So if you have 1 vacant lot and you have an existing home on this side, and we say, okay, we can take that to a 5 foot, usually it's a 0 lot line example, but take it from 7.5 down to 5 feet because this neighbor is located 10 feet away. Okay, so the house gets built, all fine and good. Well, then the neighbor here, who we used as the additional setback, says, well, wait a minute, I want to add onto my house. That's now going to cut into where I can. That's my concern with those. So if it's a subdivision that comes in like as a PUD and it's all master planned out, not a big deal. But when you're using that for infill, it becomes more problematic because you're infringing on the neighboring existing property owner.
I understand.
The reason I brought it up is because I lived for 30 years in a house that only had no more than a 5 foot setback between me and my neighbor.
Yeah,
Not even that.
yeah.
But that was okay because he had 10 feet on his side, so there was still 12 to 15 feet between us.
Between them,
and
yeah.
we didn't have any problem that way.
But if your neighbor, were you the one with the less than 5 foot?
Yeah.
So if your neighbor wanted to do an addition on his house, he couldn't go to the 5 foot line or even probably the 7.5 line because it would encroach into the overall setback. That's the issue with the using it for infill.
How does this affect 0 lot line?
As of right now, the only thing they're allowed 0 lot line are the ADUs.
Okay.
And then of course attached units, so it doesn't affect.
Okay, perfect, cool.
So is the decision to maintain the 5 foot side setback for single story homes in all zones?
And that's what it currently is.
Yes.
Do we need to vote on that?
Might not be bad.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to keep the setbacks at 5 feet.
I will make that motion to keep it at 5 feet.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
I'm not going to.
I will second that. So, because we have to have a second to either vote yea or nay on it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay,
Okay. Do we need to do a roll call on that just to make it official?
you can.
So we'll do a roll call on the vote. Commissioner Molitor,
Yes. Yay.
Commissioner Prickard?
No.
Commissioner Agnew votes yea.
Okay.
Motion passes 2-1. Okay, next up, are you done with periodic update?
Well, the next would be deciding if we wanna consider the residents' proposal.
Oh, okay. So would you explain that again to us?
Yes, sure can. So, passes. Okay. So you have ADUs that are allowed to be along a public alleyway with no setback, as long as the public alleyway is not routinely plowed by the city. That's consistent with state law. We were required to do that for ADUs. What the resident is saying is, if you have an alley next to your home and you want to build a secondary home or redo your home, whatever, why can you do an ADU along the alleyway, but you can't do a 0 lot line for a home a primary home along the alleyway.
Because state law makes us do it.
That is one answer.
I think it's kind of a dumb idea, because the reason you have alleys is for access for, it's not utilized a lot in Millwood, but a lot of garbage pickup, a lot of other utilities use alleyways, and they, not frequently, but it's not unusual to plow them.
Mhm.
So being able to utilize an alleyway, if everything built along both sides is right up to property line, really hamstrings the use of an alley.
Okay.
I would agree with that. I'm sitting here thinking, I mean, I was just thinking on one side of the alley, but if both sides of the alley built to the property line, that you're right, it's gonna
Yeah.
restrict
Yeah.
garbage trucks or delivery or somebody with an RV,
Fire or,
yeah, whatever.
hey, yeah,
Yeah, fire, exactly.
good point, Bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, motion to not consider that modification?
I guess if it takes a motion.
Or
to do
just a
that,
head nod, correct?
Yes, yeah, I
Not
would
consider-
suggest
okay.
that
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
not consider that.
Okay.
Thanks for their input, but, if you explain it the way Bill did, I think that would be a sufficient explanation.
Correct, I agree.
So maintain everything as written.
Correct.
Okay. That is it for my part then.
Okay. That brings us to the 2027 budget proposed projects discussion.
Okay, so, as part of the mayor's, budget schedule, I needed to get, planning commission, projects to the mayor by August 31st. And considering that our next meeting's a public hearing, I figured that wasn't a great time to talk about it. So I brought them forth tonight, and this is packet page 36. What I have added on there for 27, and I actually continued it into 28, is number one, did you hear that, the city of Millwood passed a data center moratorium at the last meeting?
I have not heard that.
Okay, the city of Millwood passed a data center moratorium. So that just went in front of anything else we were working on, because we have a timeline for getting, the research and recommendations completed. So the number one project that I have proposed for planning commission is data center research / recommendations from the fall of 2026 to the spring of 2027. Then, number two, I realized that planning commission and HPC actually,
What page are you on?
oh, I apologize, page 36.
Okay,
I don't have that on page 36.
Yeah, it's down here.
Oh,
It's in the
here.
blue. It's in the
Okay, I'm
blue,
sorry.
looks like a link.
sorry, I-
Below,
Oh,
yeah.
no problem.
Did you find it, Jay?
I missed that too, yes.
Yeah, it took me a second, so go ahead.
Okay,
So number two, since we do not have any and we kind of have to wing elections, I guess, and how long does Mike serve as chair, et cetera, would be for the planning commission to create bylaws in the spring of 2027 to the summer of 2027. Then, number three would be go back and pick up the docketed municipal code amendments. And those were things that didn't fit into the periodic update, but they needed to be fixed or completed. And that would be from the summer of 2027 to the fall of 2027. Most of those are fairly small. And finally, the bigger project again would be number four, the Millwood Municipal Code signage standards updates from the fall of 2027 to the spring of 2028. That is the proposed, that is what I suggest is a project list for planning commission.
Is the signage standards, how big a deal is that?
So, right now, I know they've been fairly recently updated, but there's a little bit of issue in order to enforce them, I still have to read what's on the sign. I am not allowed to do that. And so we have to make it a little more content neutral. So I can't, how is the easiest way to explain this? You basically will have temporary signs and you'll have permanent signs. things like a church sign cannot be treated differently than the other type of sign, a real estate, for example. So we have to make things a little more content neutral. We have a basis, but they need to be updated. The other thing that I noticed, and I mentioned this to Bobby, was right now, and I don't know if it was intended this way, but it says wall signs have to be above, I think it was 10 foot or something. It's a weird wording. And I asked her, I said, when we met, I said, do you realize that's pushing some signs to the roof? And she's like, well, I don't know if it wasn't thought of or if it's not what Millwood wants, but that's the other part of it that we need to address is, do you want roof signs or do you want to remove that provision where it allows people more flexibility in where they put them on the wall? And it specifically, I've had it come up twice now on single story buildings.
That's why I was, if I may. That's kind of why I asked, because these are prioritized kind of in time, right?
Mm-hmm.
My own opinion is that signage standards is a higher priority than data centers.
The issue with that is the moratorium has a time limitation. You're only allowed 6 months and then you have to show substantial progress in order to extend it for another up to 6 months. So that was a prioritization of the council.
Good input.
Mm-hmm. No, data centers is kind of a hot button right now anyway.
Yeah.
And the Millwood Code doesn't address them because it was never a consideration during the periodic update, nor was it a requirement.
Yeah, based on the size that I'm seeing, I don't see one in Millwood anyway.
Yeah.
So,
But, the other thing I was gonna mention though, Bill, I don't know if you were on the commission, but the sign standards, in the past at the plan commission meetings has been a controversial issue. It's been a big deal. And I don't know if you were involved in those or not a few years ago.
Only once when North 40 was put aside.
Okay,
yeah,
so,
yeah, me too. I think when that was more about the lighting, size of the size and the light.
the lumens and
Yeah,
this
right,
and that.
Right.
Okay. Any discussion on the matter, or?
Is that an acceptable work plan to propose to the mayor?
I think that's an acceptable.
And we may
one.
be able to put 3 and 4 together. I
Right.
need to go back and look at the docket.
Okay.
I wanted to get through the periodic update and make sure there's nothing we need to additionally address, but we may be able to put 3 and 4
Well, I
together.
mean, I'm looking at this and I don't know how much, I mean, you're gonna, so when you got item number 1, data center research recommendations, I'm thinking that you're gonna have all the research done and it's probably gonna be one meeting, let's face it, that's probably gonna be something that's gonna be, the recommendation's probably gonna be not to allow them, I would assume. Where the hell are you gonna put a data center in Millwood?
Well, and there's scale differences. I've just started researching.
Yeah.
Cause you have like the ones in the one that I know of in Liberty Lake, and it's just in the basement of an existing commercial office building. Hardly anybody knows it's there.
Right.
It's just a cloud backup one. Then you have the larger scale of the AI ones. That's about as far as my knowledge goes right now.
Well, that's mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The AI ones are the biggies.
Right.
Yeah.
And definitely the planning commission bylaws, there's something, it does need to be something on there. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, I think it's an acceptable work plan.
I do. I agree.
Yeah, everybody agrees with that?
Okay.
Perfect. Moving to agenda item number 5. Anybody out there would like to say anything? Doesn't look like we're gonna have any public remarks tonight. Thank you for your involvement, public. Brings us to Amanda's report.
Just making one quick note here.
No problem.
Okay. Planning report. So, I realized, by the way, what I was sent over didn't have the highlights on it originally. So this is the one that was actually in there. I don't know how the one highlighted one got in there. In the council packet, there was one that had highlights that were carried over from the previous meeting. I'm like, that's weird. This is the actual report. Okay, so 3121 North Woodruff was a residential bedroom and bathroom addition. That one's actually, I believe it's an adult family home, so they've added on to the back of the home, to increase the bedroom count up to what's allowed. 3019 North Argonne, right across the Argonne here, permit coordination and siding change approval. So basically it was approved with the modification to have cement board, siding, because they originally proposed metal. If you look across there, yes, it is metal. I went and investigated it tonight. We have an issue. So we will be proceeding with code enforcement on that because that is not what was approved.
Okay.
Yeah. And there was an initial request, just to be fully transparent, there was an initial request by the designer of the building, or I'm told he was a designer, to bring a sample in to allow for what is actually on the building right now, which is metal batten board type vertical and metal horizontal on the fascia at the top there. Prior to that request coming in, the project was transferred to a different contractor. And so I was instructed, that contractor made changes to the plan set to change the product to cement board. So I was instructed to not proceed with the request to come before the planning commission for an allowance. I guess there's a, in the C2 zone, there's a exception allowance where the planning commission can approve an alternate material for various reasons. But because the new contractor, who's the legal entity on the permit, just changed the material, got it approved, I was told not to bring it forth. So you may see it in the future, we'll see. But anyway, that's that project. And then we had 2 home business reviews and approvals, and that was it on that. I attended a SmartGov AI webinar. So the city of Millwood has an agreement with city of Spokane Valley for our building permit reviews and inspections. They utilize SmartGov. And SmartGov put on a webinar about the benefits of AI. I went ahead and attended that. I don't see much really for Millwood. It's pretty small. Possibly city of Spokane Valley may utilize it, so that's why I figured I better get educated on it. And then we did make application for the Planning for Recreation Access Grant for Millwood Park. And we should hear back from technical review mid-August. We then make any suggested changes to the application, goes back in, and we will find out if we get awarded by, I believe it's the end of October. So fingers crossed.
Great, yeah.
And there was a no match requirement on it. And then the rest is periodic update, which you all know what that is.
Cool. Thank you, Amanda.
Mhm.
Okay. Brings us to commissioner comments.
Yeah.
Commissioner Malter.
I made my comments. I think we had a good meeting.
I do too. I think it was nice and quick.
Yeah.
Commissioner Rickard.
I think I've muddied the water enough for today.
Okay, perfect, cool. So I do have a couple of things. At the joint meeting, it was brought to my attention that, cause I asked the question about how private citizens inform the city of code violations.
Mhm.
Okay, and I asked the question if it could be done anonymously. Well, at that time, I was told that no, it cannot be done anonymously, and was given the form to fill out, or, to share with neighbors, okay? And, kind of funny, because you said you saw me talking to my neighbor, okay? And she's going, you tell those guys to do something out here to slow these people down. I said, well, you're supposed to go on the webpage and request, okay? Which was what I was told to do. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, okay, how many people, citizens wanna pick up the phone and call you, or call City Hall or whoever, and voice their complaints, okay? And they wanna do it anonymously because in this day and age, I hate to say it this way, but in this day and age, you don't know if your neighbor's got a gun. Okay, and people are afraid to turn anything in. And I wish I think the city should actually review that policy and allow for anonymous code enforcement violations to be reported. It's just an opinion of mine. I mean, I get documentation, I understand all this and that, but it can still be documented anonymously. So, that's the comment I have.
I think that's a good comment too, Mike, but didn't Brian, was he involved in that
Yeah.
decision that it couldn't be done anonymously?
Right.
So is there some type of a legal aspect?
That would be a question for Brian, but I just, Millwood, especially, well, I'm gonna say probably most of Millwood, let's face it, we're a retirement community, for the most part, okay? We wanna be able to pick up the phone and talk to somebody,
Right,
okay, we don't wanna fill out a form, okay? And, I just, it's just a comment and a concern, and like I said, until I was talking with my neighbor tonight on the way here, and she grabbed me before, cause she knew where I was going, and, yeah, that's so, just a comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you wanna bring that back?
Yeah, I could bring that back to Brian and maybe get more clarification and better.
Yeah, that would be
Description of-
great.
Yeah.
Other than that, so it's been brought to my attention, so I wanna make sure, cause I think Commissioner Karina said she was gonna miss 2 meetings, does anybody recall that?
She was, but she ended up coming on the joint
Okay,
meeting.
okay,
So, Commissioner Beasley was missing too,
okay.
both in
So,
July, one is special.
because Commissioner Rickard told me tonight that he will not be at our August meeting,
Okay,
so I just wanna make
Okay.
sure that we have a quorum,
yeah,
okay? For
and
whatever.
we haven't heard anything about them, but I know Bobby will be here in August.
No, I sent them both the packets for this
Okay.
one just in
Okay,
case. but-
okay, perfect, cool. Jay, are you gonna be here or not?
yes.
Okay, I should be here too, so, cool, okay, good. The next meeting is, August 26th, 6 o'clock, right here, same bat channel, same bat place.
And that will be the public hearing on the periodic update. So I'm putting the staff report together right now.
Okay.
And what I'm gonna do to make it, less confusing is any comments, that come in, I basically, from this page on, where'd it go? The 713 page, 713 page. I will add to those, and that'll be what I include in as the tracker, 713 on. So that we know the changes from the final draft, which was the 626 after the public workshop. So you'll have the 626 packet in there, which is all the language, plus the few changes that were included so far. We have not finished the 60-day review, it'll be finished as of August 25th, the day before the public hearing. So anything else that comes in, I may be bringing information that evening. So, and then anticipated, as long as we don't have a huge amount that comes in, recommendation, and then I'll be preparing the findings, and it would go to city council on the first meeting in September, which I believe is the 8th.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay, so in a perfect world, we would vote to move it to city council at the August meeting, and then they would vote on it for approval?
It would go first read in September and then second in October, with the ordinance adoption hopefully October.
Okay.
And then the last part is a finalization resolution of the whole periodic update. And that would be brought in October. They can either complete it in October or they could have a second read of a resolution in November. But then we'd be done.
And that, when you say the second read of the resolution, that would be at the city council meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
And it just says we are completely done with the periodic update.
Okay. Okay, perfect, cause just when you said November, I'm always anticipating that we always end up the Wednesday before Thanksgiving
Yeah.
and it's the.
And you
12th.
are again. So what you guys are looking at for your remaining schedule is after the public hearing in August, the September meeting, I've been told, is going to be your open public meetings, Public Records Act training that Brian puts on, correct? Yeah. So that'll be September. And then October will be the data centers. And then as of now, both November and December conflicted with holidays. And so I put question mark, do we cancel, do we reschedule? So we'll have to determine that.
Okay. Good. Well, it's been a long time.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask, the public hearing, this next public hearing then, that's reviewing everything since, oh boy,
which the anticipation is, we don't really have to review it, I mean, we've been through everything.
Okay,
But it's giving the entire packet back to you and the public, which they've had it all along, it's, well, you have to, it's up on the website.
okay, all right,
And so it would just be saying, okay, we've gone through all of this,
okay.
here's what
Okay.
is the
So,
recommendation.
anticipating a few members probably just having some questions, but,
Sure,
Yeah.
okay.
I would think if they had any questions, we can sit here and fumble and it's go, oh, Amanda.
Yeah, and we had,
Amanda's gonna be there, right?
Yeah, and I'm assuming Brian will be there.
about
since
2
it's a
months
public
ago, I
meeting.
believe it was, LaDonna Dement got me the updated list for Millwood Neighborhood Advocates. So they were added to the public notice list, so we have multiple groups now that are all receiving everything by email.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
So something that just dawned on me, we got Millwood Days coming up, August 23rd?
Yes.
Is that right?
I think it,
23rd or 22nd.
Okay, well, anyway,
One
in
of
that
them.
time, well,
23rd is
it's
Saturday,
definitely
I
before our
think.
next planning
Yeah.
commission meeting.
yeah,
So in years past, the city of
we've
Millwood's
had a
had a
booth.
booth.
I hadn't proposed a booth for the city this year, cause we're right at the tail end of the periodic update.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm
So
not-
I
I'm not
hadn't
saying
proposed.
let's have a booth, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, I'm just making sure that we discuss it if you do
Yeah.
have a booth plan, if
Yeah.
you needed staff.
Did
Yeah,
the
I know
city
his-
talk about a booth?
We did talk about it, I was gonna discuss that with you
Okay,
after to see what your thoughts were.
Yeah.
I know there's a possibility we could do it, it just we'd have to make sure that there was people there throughout.
Yeah.
And create a schedule,
Bill,
so.
when do you leave? Are you gonna be gone that weekend?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so,
If we have a booth, I've participated the last couple of years, but, I think a lot of it, the last couple of years was more about, the park and planning, long-range planning, and so just soliciting input, and I think we're pretty much there, so I agree, I don't really see a need for a booth.
yeah, I don't wanna sit there and listen to complaining about Argonne Road project.
Yeah. Kind of an open meetings issue with that too.
We had to keep it to only
Right.
two
Two.
officials.
or we advertised it as a special meeting just to cover.
So,
Yeah.
but no, that's a good point, we had to make sure that was that way. Well, good, then I'm gonna leave well enough alone, we can talk about it.
Me too.
So, good work, everybody, thank you for your time, appreciate it, and what I'll do is I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn
Second.
our meeting.
It's been motioned and seconded, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.